Thank everyone for being here. I want to tell you God bless you. And I thank for everybody watching us, you that are on Facebook and supporting us. I would ask you to share this, and I ask you to put likes on it so more people would, it would get out so more people could see it. Tonight and even next week, we're going to stay on talking about narcissism or I guess a high-ranking Jezebel, ever how you want to look at it. They probably one of the same. In the spiritual kingdom, in the evil world, there's different ranks of evil spirits that control people. I guess the hardest thing for us to, comprehend or don't realize what we're doing is so many times we want to attack the person. We want to take vengeance, or we want to retaliate, or we want to lash back out, and we want to get those things like that and put an attack on somebody when we don't realize that person, pretty good odds are, they've been traumatized or they've been wounded. They're just acting out how they know to act out. Sometimes if you'll look at it, I was thinking about it today, even with children, some children, when they're major out of control and it seems like you can't control them, they're looking for attention. And sometimes that child has been traumatized. Sometimes it's just a generational thing that is passed there. But to deal with a narcissist is a whole nother realm. But you still need to know that that person is wounded. That person, odds are, more than odds are, it's a trauma of some kind that's happened in their life. And I can tell you lots of things that I've prayed with people over, and you can be free from it. Lots of things. It could be molesting, where children has been molested as a child, and or abused, or abandoned, or divorce, or a parent walk out on them, or never see them again, or it could be a lot of things going on. But I'm going to tell you, as a child, without exception, that's a trauma. And it sets a tune for your future. They say as a whole, and I believe it myself, a child is who they are at 7 years old. That's who they're going to be the rest of their life. So it's important for you to train that child and love that child and nurture that child, especially till they're up at 7 years old. And I'm not telling you to stop then, but you need to keep doing it. But and it's not that that person can't change, even after they're an adult. When you're an adult, you can't blame that on your childhood. It's your responsibility. As an adult, you can't blame that on your spouse. It's your responsibility to change yourself, not someone else. So just remember, when you're dealing with someone, it seems like you cannot get along with them, etc., etc., and everybody knows somebody like that. You just do. It may be close to you. I don't know. But you need to know pretty good odds, and I'm going to throw a 99.9% shot in there. That person has had a major trauma in their life somewhere. And to deal with that is, if you'll look, you can go look at how Jesus dealt with people. He dealt with a lot of religious narcissism in the scripture, and I'll say it like this, and I'm not saying Jesus can't conquer anything, because he can and does. He conquers all things. But the hardest thing he dealt with in the scripture was religious narcissism. A narcissist has got their mindset, and Jesus battled them constantly. So what I want to challenge you to do tonight is I want you to listen close and learn how to disarm them. And we're going to do this in the next couple of weeks. And more so next week, I guess. We'll tell you things, and again, I'll post it on here to show you how to do it. The best way to disarm a narcissist is just to keep your cool. Don't ever press the argue button, because when you lose control, you end up fighting with a narcissist. They're going to pin you down pretty much, and it's going to turn out that you're the bad person. Keep you cool. Just reduce contact as much as possible. Don't respond the way they want you to respond, because they want a response. When they go after you, they're looking for you to respond in some way. Sometimes, and we'll get later on in the lesson here because it's in it. But I say a lot of times people is a victim. When it don't go their way, they're not necessarily pouting. They just have the victim mentality, and they want you to pet them, and they want you to fall into that spirit petting, if that's what you want to call it. Don't pet a narcissist. You usually going to do exactly what opposite of what the narcissist wants you to do. If they want to argue, don't argue. If they want you to pet them, don't pet them. And in other words, don't never do what they want you to do. Example of this would be like you may be at a party, or you'd be at a family reunion or something, and somebody, you've seen it. There's this one guy, he used to come up to me all the time, and he would always say, looks to me like you've gained some weight. Looks to me like you're a whole lot bigger than you used to be. You used to look like a nice-looking gentleman, but now look at you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, y'all know how that hits you, right? And it's like, I would be thinking, unknowingly at the time, it's been a while ago, but I'd be thinking, I'm going to get you one of these days, and it ain't going to be pretty. But you do know that when you attack a narcissist, or whatever that is that you're dealing with that person, you're not going to win that battle. And don't get defensive. Just simply reply. Shift your attention to say, yeah, like for example, yeah, I'm 67 years old. I'm sure I don't look like I did when I was 20. And you know, and it does. For you, and we'll talk about this more in a minute. It does with you, if it's happening to you. It's a very emotional conditioning part for you, is because you the one having to deal with it. In other words, you've got to learn to control your mind and control your thoughts. Don't let them control you. So it's important for you to know that what you're dealing with, they don't really know what they're dealing with. They don't know. And it's important for you to know when that person is triggered. I guess I've learned as a deliverance minister more so over the last several years that I know to look at that person, and believe me, I've heard it all. And to look at that person to know that they need help. And you still need to love the person. You may not like the person, but you still need to love the person, and know that person needs help in some form or fashion. And another thing here on this is never, you need to avoid feeding their ego. They have a very inflated self-esteem. And I know what I'm fixing to say here, it sounds contradictory, but it's not. But they're also very insecure. They want you to brag on them because they got an inflated self-esteem. And why they want you to brag on them is because they're insecure. Watch how all this works. Now, because they're insecure and you're bragging on them, now they're built up in pride. You see how that works? So don't feed their ego. It's dangerous. Don't do that. And I'm not telling you not to tell people you're proud of them for something that they've done. I mean, if you see them that's done something good, you need to tell them they've done something good. But don't try to please them is what I'm saying, and just to feed their ego, because that's not a good thing. It's dangerous for you to do that. Another thing is, make sure, for an example here, for instance, like someone comes in, especially in the workplace, you've seen this, I've seen this, and you'll see it again, that someone come into the workplace or maybe even at church, and they'll be saying, man, I've saved this church. I've saved this job. I've saved this. I've showed you how to do. I've done the best. I'm this. I'm that. Instead of offering praise to that person, don't feed their ego. And what you need to say is, I'm glad that worked out like it needed to be worked out. Notice you didn't throw their name in there. Notice you didn't build them up. If it worked out, it worked out. Don't feed their ego. Keep the conversation grounded. Don't boast, and especially boast on their superiority is what I'm saying. In other words, you've seen these people at work. I use this for an example, and I'm sure it plays out at church too, or people even in friends, to where you see these little gung-ho boss men. There'll be a bigger boss man that's a narcissist, and these little peon boss men are running around, and they'll just do everything they want them to do. And what if they want them to come out there and attack you, they'll come out there and attack you for no reason at all. We used to deal with that at True Temper all the time. And it's just like everything would be going great, but somebody's sitting up there in the office, they ain't got nothing to do. So now they want to come out there and attack everybody. And so what that's doing is, it's making your emotions off. It's getting you out of control. So it's important to know that those people have been wounded. I'm stressing that. And you need to think about that person, because sooner or later, and I've seen it happen, that person might come to you for help, and they might want to know how you are like you are, especially if you're an example as a believer. This one here is a big one on this trait right here. Don't never take responsibility for their actions. And what I mean by that is this. Don't make excuses for them. It's interesting a lot of times if you might be in an argument, or you've seen them on television, or you've seen them, maybe you know somebody this way, I don't know, but like this spouse is being abused, a man or a woman, and they got black eyes everywhere. They got broke ribs. They may have a broke arm. And the law comes out there, and somebody's turned them in, and what they'll say is this: I fell down the stairs, or I fell off a motorcycle, or I fell out the door, or what you're doing is making an excuse for a narcissist. Make them responsible for their actions. You are not responsible for their thoughts and feelings. You're not responsible. And in other words, don't lie for them. You're not going to put them under attack, but don't lie for them. Don't ever lie for them. And make sure you understand their thoughts and their feelings is not yours. It's theirs. It's not your fault. It's their fault. It's natural for most people who fight with a narcissist to go on a guilt trip. And feel like, well, I've tried to fix that person, and I've tried to help this person, and I've loved this person, I've poured my life into this person, and I've done everything I can do to help change this person, and it seems like, I want you to listen, that I've fought a losing battle. Stop. It was not your battle. It was their battle. You can only fix you. You can't fix somebody else. And my thing is, what we do is we get caught up in those emotions. Now when that person don't do or act out, and I know, I've seen it happen in my own life a lot of times with people. It just didn't go the way you think it ought to win. And you poured your life in there, and it just didn't happen. But do know that's not your fault. It's their fault. But remember what I'm saying here, that if a narcissist is angry with you, you're not responsible for that anger. I will say unless you caused it on purpose. So don't offer to take the blame for it, whatever it is. What happened, what you do there is the worst thing you can do, is take the blame. The best thing you can do is just ignore it and don't take any blame for it. So don't take responsibility for a narcissist actions. Next thing here is avoid ultimatums. And I guess that's arguing too. But what I want to tell you here is don't start the fight. They're going to be one start for sure, but don't start the fight. So what you need to do is try to gain control and avoid it. And giving ultimatums is not healthy for any relationships. So what I'm telling you here is, if I'm sitting here and I see my niece watching, if I'm sitting here trying to control Ashley and I'm telling Ashley, here's your ultimatum, here's what you're going to do, here's how you're going to act, here's where you're going to go, here's what you're going to see, here's what you're going to wear, here's what you're going to... well, I can tell you right now, that's not a good relationship. And it's not going to be long. She's going to not have anything to do with me, or she'll start withdrawing. So to deal with this, make sure you don't give ultimatums out to somebody. Excuse me. When dealing with a narcissist, what you're tempted to do is give them an ultimatum. And what I mean by that is you lay out there and you say, here's what you're going to do. And you can do that in another way. You do it by not being a narcissist and setting boundaries. I mean, against them, I'm talking about with attacks and stuff. You can't do that. You need to set a boundary, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. In your own life, not to them, the boundaries for you, and not let them cross that. So don't resort to stooping to their level when that happens. When you use an ultimatum or a force, you're allowing the narcissist to do the same. In other words, what they'll do in a friendship or family members or whatever, they'll frequently demand your attention. Instead of threatening with them, and what you do is keep doing this, it'll end the relationship, and you'll calmly state like this. I need some personal time right now, and I'm going to explain more what I'm saying here. But I'll contact you when I'm ready. It's like this. Have you ever been in a place, I know that kind of didn't sound right, but if you've been in a place, maybe you've been at a funeral home, maybe you've been at church, maybe you've been at the job force, maybe it's a friend, whatever it is, they demand 100% of your attention all the time. And it's like, you know you need to talk to somebody else, but you can't talk to them. More so, I guess, me, like as a pastor, knowing I need to talk to this person over here that's just come into church as a visitor or something, but I've got to focus all of my attention on this person right here, and they've been in church for 6 months. So what am I to do? Well, that person that's just walked into church needs my attention. So what you need to do is take the authority on it and say, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you right now. I've got to go talk to this person, make sure that they feel welcome. You don't attack the person or tell them you don't want to talk to them anymore. So make sure that you stay in control. Next thing, never give them a negative attention. Don't give them negative attention. the last thing you want to do is give a narcissist negative attention. They crave attention, but when you give them negative attention, such as lashing out to them, targeting them, humiliating them, it can result of holding a grudge against you. And you as a believer in Christ, you know, the Bible says we're to forgive our brothers, those that trespass against us. And Peter even asked, how many times am I to forgive? Seven times? And Jesus said, no, 7 times 70. As many times as necessary is what Jesus is saying here. So you make sure that you keep a forgiving spirit, because that is important. You don't want to be holding no bitterness and no hate, nothing like that, because now you're starting a total problem when you don't need that problem. So you stay focused. Don't criticize them because it will not make you feel any better, I promise. And so, you know, you see a lot of times like at a family gathering, or more so like, let's say it like this, if you at a workplace and there's a lot of people gathering around, and somebody, and I've seen this, make a rude comment about something that you've cooked or whatever, still being upset or arguing and making a negative comment, you just smile. And we're going to talk about this at the end on how to deal with this probably next week. But what you need to do is change the subject. Instead of arguing, talk about something else. Don't react to what they want to react to. You keep things calm and you avoid making that situation worse. Because when you lash out, it's going to make it worse. And you sure don't want to do that. And what you're trying to do, you're ultimately trying to win that person to the Lord and make sure they get right with God. Okay, I want to throw this one in here, right here. There's points we need to consider here. And I may do this next week. I'm not sure yet. I ain't made my mind up. But there's things about a narcissist where they need help in. Because of where they've been wounded. An example of they may be very manipulative. We talked about that last week, but I want to throw another one in here. They may be very jealous. Why are they jealous? And here's what I want to throw in here. You might think to yourself, well, I'm not jealous. I don't know why that person would be jealous. Well, let's say it like this. Let's say that when they were growing up, let's say this girl has seen their father go out on their mother over and over and over again. And it's like their mother would be crying in all hours of the night, and that child will be hearing that. I know that sounds horrible, but a lot of that goes on. So that spirit of jealousy of that trauma now has come. And because of that, they are now very insecure. When it comes along and they marry a man or they're dating a man, why are they insecure? What have they seen all of their life? What have they seen in abuse? You know, it's like, it's been 2 or 3 years ago now. I was sitting in Walmart parking lot and I was waiting on Deb like I always do. I hate that store. I hate going in there. But she was in there buying groceries, and I seen this lady come up. Well, I shouldn't say lady, but y'all understand what I'm saying. She had about 3 kids. One of them looked like about 10, one of them about 7, the other than about 4 or 5. And look at here. That woman was screaming at every one of them to the top of their lungs, and they was all crying. They was all bent out of shape, and she was hollering and screaming, telling them to shut up. And it's like, you're not listening to me. And it's like, why are they acting that way? Think about it. Why are they acting that way? What was the parent doing? They just reacting how they know to react. That's a familiar spirit to them. So what I want to say is points to consider is and we're going to talk about it. Why do the, and this is the point that I'm fixing to get to, why are they doing what they doing? And you need to have the spirit of discernment to know that. Why is this person acting out like they acting out? And it's like, and I'm not justifying anybody's sin here whatsoever, but it's like, why is that person always having an affair with everybody? Why is that person going with multiple women? Why is that person going with multiple men? Why is that person doing this? Why is that person abusive? You can't never get, well, listen, there's a cause. I promise you, there's a cause. And what you need to do is you need to stop and think, why are they acting that way? That's the point that you got to get to with them. I know in praying in deliverance, I have to do that pretty much, well, all the time, that you got to find out the cause of why that thing is operating in somebody like it's operating. Why is it manifesting this way? Why is this thing acting out? Well, main thing is you need to be empathetic here. And what I mean by that, don't have false empathy. That's not what I'm saying. But you need to have enough empathy to know, why is this person doing that? You don't have to call them out and expose them. You don't have to do that. But instead, confront them in an effective way to get a narcissist to listen to you is how you need to approach that. And listen to them, what they're acting out. You need to read between the lines. And what I mean by that is, like, if you hear that word jealousy, why are you jealous? And what's the cause of jealousy? What happened to cause you to be jealous? It's like, I mean, if a person is just jealous, that didn't just happen. If a person is insecure, that didn't just happen. There's a reason why it happened. So you need to develop a gift of discernment and a deep understanding of why they think that specific way of what they're doing. And then you can confront them about their behavior. But you're not going to confront them with an attack. Why are you doing this? I can't remember who it was that I was talking to, and it's been in the last week. I kept asking, why did they do that? And they'd be talking about something else, and I said, you're not listening. I said, why did they do that? There's a why, there's a cause. So make sure, like a narcissistic partner that you may have, example, sometimes they may make, what am I trying to say here? They go out and do a business deal. I mean, going out and buying a little bitty something ain't too bad, but when you go out and buy a new car without consulting with your spouse is not a good thing. Why did they do that? There's a reason why they done that. And what you do is, I know you don't understand, and you can say, I'm glad. You can say it like this. You can say, I'm glad that you're a person that loves to take charge. But however, I would like for you to consult me with that before you do that again, because my opinion matters, and it does matter. Make decisions together from now on. You know, but over a period of time, that narcissist, they might change, but 100%, without exception, that narcissist needs deliverance. Without exception, they need it. There's a lot of levels there, and I may talk about a lot of the traits they have next week. Not sure yet. But you got to always remember their nature and what they're out to do. Narcissists hurt people in more ways than one. It's like we hear this phrase all the time: hurt people, hurt people. Wounded people, wound people. I don't want to say what I want to say here, but child molesters, pretty good odds are, have been molested. That's what they know. And I'm not making an excuse for them, but they only know what they know. They only have done what they do because it's happened to them. And again, that I don't like that, but it is what it is. You may feel upset about them, and it's an unacceptable behavior, I know. But you got to remind yourself to manage expectations and feel they are suffering from some problem, please listen, that they have no control over. None. That's how they're wired. It's like people don't know, and I know Donna's watching, and she understands. She's prayed with me a lot, with people too. But people don't know, like if you're praying with somebody, you need to make sure you reach in there deep to find what that person's problem is, how they're wired, why they doing what they doing. There's a reason why. Remember their nature, their behavior. And I hear this one all the time, and I taught on it here not long ago, but about personality disorders and traits and all of that. And you never know what's being triggered today. So make sure that you know that that person is wounded. And please listen. Again, I'm stressing it. It has nothing to do with you. They are the way they are, and they're responsible for their own behavior. Whatever they might say about you, it may not be true. I'm saying pretty good odds are it ain't. But you always must keep your self-esteem high. Think about Jesus. What did they do to him? What did they say about him? Think about it like this. He healed blind eyes. He raised the dead. He healed the lepers. He healed the lame. He healed palsy. And I could go on and on and on. Anybody that asked, it was done. But you know what they called him? They called him Beelzebub. And Jesus said, he confronted them about that. And he said, Satan is not going to overthrow Satan. And why would Satan overthrow his own kingdom? So Jesus put it back on them. But Jesus didn't take that personally. He knew that. Remember when Jesus was hanging on the cross, what did he say? It's important for you to know what he said. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What did he mean by that? Well, something was driving them to do that. Something was after them to do that. Who do you think wanted Jesus on that cross more than anything? There's a spiritual realm behind that. And it was driven to put Jesus on that cross. So you think about if Jesus would have lashed out right there at the end. And he could have. And they said, why don't you call your angels down to come and take you off of here? Oh, man, if they only knew. He could have done it, but it wouldn't have been pretty. But because of Jesus' commitment to salvation for man, because of Jesus' commitment to love and to help people to overcome, he hung there on the cross and he took that pain for us. And not only that, because of his humility and love, there's a thief on that cross got right with God. Not only that, they say that Roman soldier there that nailed him to that cross got right with God. So, you know, think about what Jesus was dealing with. So, stay in love. It's important that you keep your self-sanity. And so, some of the times here, it may seem what a narcissist does may seem passionate, intense, but what it is, these behaviors are not born out of love, but instead what they're born out of is a desire to dominate and manipulate you. Excuse me. When you was growing up as a child, you had no control over how somebody treated you. You just didn't. I've prayed with someone sitting right here on this couch that they were placed in a closet and they were not allowed to come out for a day or two, ever how long, I don't remember it all. But I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, it's like you want to cry. And it's like, if I could get my hands on them, you see what I'm saying? You starting to think not in a good way here. Now that person is bound in that closet, and they're tortured. They may not have been given no food, no water. They may have been abused and thrown in there. Now, you honestly think that child is going to come out okay? Look, how they treat you now when they're an adult, they don't know love because they have not been shown love. They don't know. What they'll do is try to act out in certain ways to get attention. What was they trying to do in that closet? They may have withdrawn. They may have isolated themselves. They may have been attacked so much now that they're grown, and it could be a male or a female here. They become very dominant. That you will, and there'll be this attitude: you will not control me. You will not tell me what I'm going to do. You will not, you will not, you will not. And they will do everything that they can to stop you from doing that. They may not even understand they're doing that. But it took me a long time to understand why a lot of people do what they do. So when they act out, my thing is, well-being is not something that I should compromise. And what I mean by that, when it comes to me, you are to be in control of you. But you need to know that person that you're dealing with has been wounded. I know I keep saying that, but it's important for you to know that. They might even say, I'm head over heels in love with you. Well, they only gonna love like they know how to love. That's it. Everybody does. I don't care who you are. You love how you know how to love. You love how you grew up to love. Once you remarried and things have changed in your life, you may have a deeper relationship with your spouse and you've learned how to love. I hope that's the case for you. But it's important for you to know that we need to change our character, that you're not going to change somebody else's. Okay, here's maintain a clear and firm boundary. Now, this one is hard to deal with. What is boundaries? It's like this. Let's say you went down to the hospital and you were walking in the hallway there, and it had this big old sign on the door that said toxic, do not enter, warning labels all over it. Warning, warning, warning. And it's just like, now how many of us is going to say, I got to go in there and see what that is? And it's like, wait a minute now. What you going to get when you go in there? And it's like, the same thing applies to a narcissist. You set your boundary. It's not for them. It's for you. It's for you to control your emotions. You're not controlling theirs. You've got to learn to control yours. And narcissists are the last people that's going to follow their prior commitments. In other words, if they told you that I'm going to do this, don't expect that. I know of people that they've told me that they was going to do something, and it's like, I've learned a long time ago, don't expect them to do that. If you want it done, do it yourself. But the main thing is here, they're not going to stay with their prior commitments. They only have a limit that they can reach or go to. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, you must set clear and firm boundaries. And what I mean by that is for yourself. You're not going to anger. And you've got to tell yourself that. I'm not arguing with them. Sometimes you may have to withdraw yourself from them. Now, I'm not talking about a spirit of withdrawal here. I'm talking about there's sometimes you just got to walk off and let them have the argument because you're not going to win it. And all you're going to do is throw fuel on the fire. And I'm not trying to get to my next week's lesson here. But but you do everything that you can to set that boundary and don't let them cross it. I know this one is hard for us to understand. I think I probably told Donna this one. But it's like, if you had this friend, and they were very, very toxic, and they were always leading you off astray, getting you on drugs, etc., etc., or they was always very abusive around you, or maybe they was attacking you, or etc., etc. What are you gonna do? Best thing to do is let that friend go, right? Where I'm headed now, I don't like to say what I want to say. You set a boundary. It's not that you don't love that friend. You might love that friend. You don't have to like them, but you got to love them because Jesus said you did. Okay, what if it's your cousin? What if it's your cousin? Do you set a boundary there? And if that cousin was doing the same thing for you, they was very toxic for you, and you and your husband went over there one day, and they had an affair with your husband, and every time they go over there, that your cousin is trying to go with your husband. I'm just making this stuff up now, and it's like they're trying to destroy your marriage. It's like, what are you gonna do? You gonna keep going there? It's like, you know what's gonna happen sooner or later, right? So you set a boundary. You don't go there. You don't do that. I hope y'all staying with me. Now let's carry it to another step. What if it's your brother or sister? Now it's getting personal, ain't it? Set a boundary. You know, if that person there harming you, if that person is there attacking you, if that person is out to and here's the main thing, is trying to destroy you spiritually, and to attack you spiritually, to draw you away from God, or to keep you from getting right with God, no matter what that is, that's the most important thing you will ever do. And you need to stay away from that person. I know it. Are you to love them? Yes. You're to love them, but you set a boundary, and it's like, look, you don't have to let that person in. You don't have to let that person in. And you draw the line there, and don't let them cross it. Now, here's the hardest one. What if it's your parents? Well, it's like, what I want to say here, I don't really like what I want to say here. I know somebody that the last time, and it's been a long time ago, they probably in their 60s now, their father was molesting them still, and they was 40-something years old. Why are you going over there? Why are you going over there? They're wounded. And it's like that father has so much control over them. I know that sounds sick. He's a narcissist. In fact, he was a religious man on top of it. That even makes it worse. I believe hell has a certain place for them. I don't even like to say that. That's not for me to judge. That's not my call. I hope he got right with God. But he molested all his children. And it's like, that's not right, y'all. If that person is toxic and they are harming you, you need to stay away. You just need to stay away. And they're there to attack you. What you need to do is draw that line. You set your limit, and that they gonna want more. They gonna keep coming. They gonna keep coming. So and that's just some of the boundaries. I could keep going on, but you need to make sure that you set a firm boundary. Your main thing is for your spiritual life. Be watchful. Here's the hardest thing. Reading between the lines. Discernment is this. Discernment is when you can look out there and you know what's good and what's not. that's not really discernment. I mean, that's just knowledge. You know that. But what real discernment is when you are able to read between the lines of what's close, what's not right, and what's wrong. What's right and wrong, I mean. And it's like, is that person what they really say they are? Uh, is that person really this nice? And you need discernment over that. And especially before you get into a relationship or friendships or running with somebody, the main thing I've learned to do is ask the Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, should I be hanging around this person or not? And the Holy Spirit tell you yes or no. If you're right with God, He'll tell you. So they are, a narcissist has a spirit of entitlement that you owe them, and they will intrude on you to make sure they get their entitlement. They will manipulate. They'll use tactics. Here's a big one: gaslighting. What's gaslighting? They always throwing the problem on somebody else. It's never their fault. The reason why I don't love you is cause. The reason why I done this is cause. The reason why that I acted out in rage against you is because of what you've done. Now you automatically know what you're dealing with, right? Or another thing is they'll stonewall you. They won't let you through. I'm not talking about that. And they just not gonna let you in whatsoever. And this stonewalling is they got a wall built up, and they're not gonna let you in. And again, there's a reason why they're not gonna let you in. They're very demanding. They expect it for you to treat them a certain way all the time. And I'm going to go ahead and say it right here. It don't matter how good you treat them. It's never going to be good enough. I don't care how good you are. You're not going to fix them. You're not going to fulfill their needs, no matter what. If it's they want certain thing, and if you fulfill that certain thing, then they're going to find something else that you didn't fulfill. So you're never going to win there. So they'll use tricking, assertion, to do whatever it is to get what they want. So you got to safeguard yourself from a narcissist. You must do all you can to ensure yourself that you stay within your defined boundaries. Listen, don't let them dominate or overpower you. You don't have to listen to it. If a narcissist crosses boundaries, who have they crossed? You. So you must promptly show them their place, and sometimes, even if it takes legal action. Especially if you're a spouse or you, I remember it's been several years ago at a church over here. There was this girl, she'd been trying to break up with this boy for a long time, maybe a year. He wouldn't leave her alone. He just, because you don't do that to a narcissist. You owe them. So he went into church and killed her. You see what I'm saying? So what do you think she should have done? She should have got a peace bond out on him and took legal action against him. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And I guess I'm going to close on this one, and we'll pick it back up next week. But accept the fact that you cannot change their behavior. It's natural for you. I think Christian people get mixed up in this. Oh, I got to help them. Be careful. I've got to do everything I can for this person. I've got to support this person. I've got to feed this person. I've got to this. I've got to that. I've got to show this person. I've got to give them everything I got. I got to go. I got to go to here. I got to go to there. We deal with people in the church about that a lot. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. If they don't change, it's not your fault. There's sometimes you've got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you might need to give. But look, it will only agitate their behavior. Because now when you don't give, or you don't go your extra mile, or you don't do whatever, they're going to gaslight you. It's your fault why I'm like this. Don't fall prey to that charming gaslighting. Sometimes you've seen these people that I've even heard them say it. They can be a knockdown, drag out war going on, and on their way to church. I'm just saying this. I've heard it said years ago. And now they walk into church. Both of them got a smile on their face. It's the best marriage you ever seen in your life. And everything is great. And it's like, it's somehow a narcissist can throw that smile on, throw that charm on to draw you in. They got manipulative ways to draw you in. But my thing is, make sure that you understand you cannot change their behavior or their personality disorder. You're not going to do that. You can't change a spirit inside of them. You can't love a hate spirit in them. You're to love them, but you can't love that hate spirit out of them. You can't do that. That's got to be delivered and set free. You can't do that. And so you make sure that the fact that haven't changed in so much time is an indication that they might not never change. You may have to just accept that's the way they are. That don't mean you don't have to stop praying for them. You might still need to pray for them. But what I'm saying is you need to know that when you're pouring your life into somebody and they're not changing, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. When you was a child and you was wounded and you was harmed in a lot of different ways, please listen, it was not your fault for somebody that abused you. That was their fault. And I know what we do. If I'd have done this different, if I'd have done that different, if I'd have just done this, if I'd have just, no matter what you done, it would not have changed anything. They would have still done what they done. So accept it that they might not change. That don't mean that you might not ought to keep doing what you're trying to do to draw them to God, but they may not change. So I'm going to close on that right there because I don't want to get too deep into next week's lesson. And so think about what I'm saying. You don't want to miss next week. I promise you, you don't want to miss next week. So I appreciate y'all. I ask you to share this with everybody so they can hear it. And I hope that you're not dealing with a narcissist, but if you are, just know that that's their place. It's not your place. Set a boundary, and we'll talk about next week questions answers, how to deal with them. So like this, share this, and I appreciate you guys, and thank you very much for being with us, and I love you. Thank you for watching us. God bless you.